All right, ladies, welcome to our team webinar. I'm so excited to have a new guest speaker joining us, and this is someone that I specifically asked to help because so many of us Pearls work a day job. Literally like 90% of our team works another job. So
Wow.
I asked Nikki Hughes out of Michigan to join us. She's an executive director. I'm going to have her tell you all about herself. And then you guys submitted questions ahead of time, which was so smart, so that we could maximize our time together. So Nikki, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited for joining you girls. Especially with you, Heather. I was so pleased to be even asked because I just look up to you and you inspire me so many days that you don't even know, you know what I mean? So it's really cool, and I'm excited to be with your team, and they're doing amazing things. And as I seen, it's cool being on your team page too, because just with like 1.5 million already and just like rocking it out. So it's really neat. It's been really cool even for just like a couple days, you know, so it's neat to be like a fly on the wall in somebody else's team page. Is really pretty neat. So
I know it's fun. I enjoy when I get the opportunity to do it as well. Okay,
yes.
So can you tell the girls a little bit about you and how you got started and where you are in your business today?
Okay, so I am a executive director, and I've been I'm coming up on 7 years in the business, which I'm super excited about. I am the girl that works full time. I now have a blended family. My family doubled in size about 4 years ago, which I never seen coming. That's for sure. I was a single mom of 2 and newly divorced when I started in the business. And I was the girl that is every reason, like I'm every objection as to why I would be great not to be in the business. So those girls who tell you, no, I don't have time. Oh, I'm a single mom. I don't have the money. I would just never be great for this. I've been raised in a religious family. I am that girl to a T, every single one of them. So, but what ended up happening was my money got a little tight when I took on a new car payment, and literally I hosted a party just for the fun and for the free product. And simply over a hot heart massager. I wanted that thing so bad that I hosted a party, and I couldn't even, and this was before like the Facebook days. So I literally had no idea what the consultant looked like when she was coming over to my house because I hadn't seen her in 5 years. And, but what ended up happening was we had a great time. She told me, hey, you know what? If you take outside orders, those orders will count towards your free stuff too. And I was like, heck yeah, I want free product. That's why I'm having the party. And I took $600 in outside orders before she even came over to my house. And the party was worth $750, so $1,350 total. And I had never used any of the products except for the heart massager and the coochie cream. And those were the only 2 items. So I had no idea about anything or how to put batteries in anything or what it's supposed to feel like when it gets there or any of it. So please believe I fit the description of every objection that those girls give you when you're trying to talk to them about joining your team. So there is hope, that's for sure. And but what ended up happening was she said to me ultimately, you know, have you ever thought about doing this as a job? I told her absolutely not and gave her all the reasons. And then she ended up saying, if you ever need extra $100 a month or an extra $1,000 a month, this could be a good fit for you. So just keep it in the back of your mind and I'll always be here in case you have questions. And of course, I use that at my parties all the time because I live that now. And what ended up happening was once my money got tight and all I could think about was the one day, what if my child says to me, Mom, I want to do football, or Mom, I want to do dance. And what if I can't afford to do the extras because I was literally working at Ford Motor Company, $30 an hour on the assembly line, and I was just making my bills. That's all I was doing. So, but that's me. And so I fast forward, I went from consultant level to senior director in about 7.5 months. I didn't know what I was doing. I literally, these girls just started coming out of everywhere because I was doing parties consistently. That's why. And I was having a great time doing it. And I remember signing them up so quickly and thinking, you know what, God's not going to give me any more than I can handle. So I guess they're supposed to join me along the journey and let's do this. And that was pretty much it. But then also, my team is the Bliss Beauties, which I'm so proud of them. Very, very blessed with a great team leaders. And I've always believed in the mission and something bigger than ourselves, and being able to put our, I just feel like not everybody gets a chance to put a positive thumbprint on the world, and I'm very blessed to be able to do that with Pure Romance and changing lives and educating women and keeping them safe and the whole bit. So that's me, and I love what I do. And my plan B ended up being my plan A. And even my husband, it's nice to finally hear him even say, any guy that maybe they're having money troubles or however, even my husband at this point will say, if money's tight, then you need to talk to my wife. If money's tight, you should have your girl talk to my wife. So it's just funny because finally he's so totally on board because he's seen it over the last 3 to 4 years. So, but yeah.
So tell us, okay, first of all, so on a monthly basis, what do you do on average sales-wise in a month?
I roughly about 7,000 to 8,000.
And how many parties is that?
I roughly do about 8 or 9.
Okay. So you're averaging 2 a week essentially.
Yes. And some weeks, depending, I also schedule time off. Obviously, that's one of the beauty of the business too. And there's some days where I'll do, or some weeks where I do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and there's other days where I just do a Friday, Saturday, or I'll do a Friday and 2 on Saturday. So it just kind of depends. And
do your parties tend to be more on the weekends or weeknights?
Weekends, because I work during the week, and 4:15 in the morning comes very quickly on my work days. So and when I work Monday through Thursday at Ford Motor Company, so literally my job, I'm getting up at 4:15, I'm out the door by 5:15, and I'm on the Ford assembly line by 6 a.m. and I get out of work by 5:15 p.m.
So let's expand on this for the girls. So tell them about your average day. Okay, so we know what time you start. What is it like in a nutshell at your day job? And then how are you maximizing your time when you're not at work?
So what I do, so I have a iPad that I do pay for cellular data because I need to know that I can be anywhere and have internet access. I want to be able to be doing any apps availability to me. Being in the factory there's so much metal, it's it's hard to even get a cell phone connection sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I just like to know in the back of my mind that no matter what, I can use my iPad. Mm-hmm. So if I'm at work and I'm on break, then I might be making an app, or not an app, invitation from my Red Stamp. I might be updating my Facebook, or maybe even doing the send share, getting something like that ready for the upcoming weeks and things like that. But I just kind of try to, as much as I can, squeeze it into the time that I'm at work, any chance that I can. Same way with doctor's appointments, like many moms do. Same way with waiting for dance, with dance kids and things like that. If you're in the parking lot or if you're right inside the studio, you're trying to maximize. So that's been one of the biggest blessings for me. Smartest choices that I made was get an iPad that I can pay the cellular data, because it's a business expense write-off, and there's no way that I can't get something done.
Right. Now, how many hours would you say in a week that you're working your PR business, not including parties?
Hmm. I'm not sure how to exactly answer that, only because I like live, breathe, eat, sleep, the whole nine with this, and it's funny because my mom even said that to my husband the other day. Who ever thought that this girl would eat, sleep, breathe, and dream of this business? I would have to say I probably at least probably about at least 8 to 10 hours, I would
Okay.
say. Hmm.
Got it.
I also have an assistant who helps. So, like with some of the back end stuff,
Yep.
I'm a big fan of hiring help,
Yep.
because when you hire help and you can literally get things done that only you can do, then I'm a big fan of knowing your strengths and paying somebody to do things that you're not so strong at or have time for. So I'm a really big fan of that. I've had an assistant since I was a director, and I always suggest any director out there that wants to really take this business to the next level to hire an assistant.
So that was in your first 6 months.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Got it.
Yep. And she was on the team too. So
Yeah,
she
tell
was
us a
on the
little bit
team.
more about how you decide what it is that your assistant can do.
Well, right now, my current assistant, she does a lot of my Facebook stuff, or just things that are just like at a computer, because with me being at work, I work on the Ford assembly line, which we build almost 700 trucks per shift.
Wow.
So literally I'm finishing a truck in almost like less than a minute. And so my hands are tied up. And so she will easily, make templates for me and things like that for First Share, or for like games or things like that in a event. She also puts stuff on my Facebook team page, like Tip Tuesday. Like I'll send her this stuff ahead of time, like, oh, I think this is a really good tip, and she'll post it, or even just send a message for a hostess, just like a picture mail type of
Yeah.
thing. Little things like that. I have in the past had past assistants who helped me label things, put labels on my product or on the catalogs and things like that. Little easy things, pre-make hostess packets.
Yeah.
I generally like to do that maybe once a month, and I do it in bulk. So if I do, anywhere from 20 to 25 hostess packets, at least they're prepped.
Yeah.
And, I have to say, even my daughter is now been around the business since she was 1.5. So, it's like her biggest dream to be involved. That's for sure. So, little things like, Mama, I help you label or whatever. She wants to be a part of it, of course.
Yeah.
So she's my little assistant now too. So we do it together. But
so that actually brings up a great point. Do you experience much of the mommy guilt that so many of us do, because you're working during the day and then you're working your business? And how are you making sure that you feel good about the time that you're getting with your kids and they feel like they're getting quality time with you?
so I try to plan different like special events with each of the kids. My husband has 2 small ones too. So I mean, we're a very busy family, and we're constantly doing, we're constantly on the move no matter what. Do I feel guilty? I think I used to more when they were younger. Now I think they understand more as far as like my whole mission, honestly, because it's for the betterment of our family, and they see what this business can do. I was a girl who was literally stressed out about getting laid off. I was like in a panic and thinking, I have a 5-year-old and a 4.5-year-old. What am I gonna do if I get laid off,
Yeah.
And, but pure romance is such a part of our life that, we kind of have it down to a system now. Even on a Friday and Saturday evening, my husband we're doing dinner, or if, depending on what time the party is, my husband sometimes even throws food in a Tupperware container and I'm taking it out the door. But then I'm kissing everybody goodbye, and they're literally in bed, bathed, prayers, bedtime. Like, it's kind of routine at this point.
Yeah.
But this is what pays the bills. Like, at the end of the day, I want to be able to have a great way to take care of my children's college. I want to have a great retirement. Like, I don't want to have to worry about where's that going to come from, because it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So and I also make time, obviously, with dance recitals and just everything else, like everything that's important to them, I make time for as well. I've recently this year implemented dream books with the kids and what is really important to them, and letting them sit back and kind of dream, because I feel like as adults, we forget to do that sometimes, and what's really important to us. So from a very young age, now that I'm doing that, I want to instill that in them. And we just kind of look back at it, and it's really cool to be able to check those dreams off with the kids.
Sure.
So
now I'm going to start delving down into logistics in your business, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So you're not only juggling your family and obviously your own party business, and it's, 8 parties a month is considered full-time in this business.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also juggling a significant team. How big is your team right now?
We have 330 girls on the team, and we're at just under 1.8 million.
Nice. Okay. So I'm guessing that it's very similar to our team, where there is a core group that's close to you, but then a whole bunch that are not. Is that right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And how are you effectively communicating with them and making sure that they feel like they have your ear, and yet still making sure that you run your own business and have a life?
Well, it goes along the whole saying of 80%, 20% of the team does 80% of the work generally. And working with the girls who really want it. I never really understood for a long time, but Zara Zay used to say, which she's like my grandmother in the company, she would say, squeaky wheel gets the lube. And I never really understood what she meant by that, because my team was much smaller and I wanted to work with all of them. But then when you start to realize that all of them don't want all of the same things, it's finding out what their why is and finding out how often they want to be a part of it, and just kind of respecting it from there, is really what I've started to kind of just let happen. Instead of wanting it so much for them, it's been one of those things where it's just been a whole lot easier to kind of figure out their why, see how involved they want to be, and then I know what to expect from them and they know what to expect from me. It's kind of been a lot easier this year, I should say. Even after going to this Pure Success, I'm going to be, my assistant and I were just talking about it today, literally getting the phone numbers of the top 20% of each of my downlines and reaching out to all of them. And then also reaching out to all of the new team members of my second team and my third team and fourth team, just to say hello, is something that I started within the last couple weeks. And it's mind-blowing how easy that little phone call for 2 minutes to say, congratulations on your business. Please lock my phone number in. If you need any help, I'm right here. Please understand that you have my full-on support with your sponsor. That goes so long of a way. And I was just like, oh my goodness, how could I not been doing this all this time? So, just something, little things like that I'm starting to implement. And, we learn as we go. That's just kind of how it goes. And we go from there, But
Now,
I do.
how are you keeping track of your clients? Do you have a database that you use? How are you primarily communicating with them after the party? And do you have a follow-up system that's specific?
So I just call everybody. I do like my Big Mac calls on my way home from work.
Can you tell the girls, some of the girls are literally signed up in the last 3 or 4 days. Can you tell them what a Big Mac call is?
So my morning after calls are literally me just following up with clients to ask them, how their products are, if they had a chance to try their products, and if they had any questions about them. These are so crucial, and it literally takes you minutes out of your day, and you can just knock them all out at one time, especially if you just dedicate like 15, 20 minutes of your time to just sit down and make the phone calls. It seems like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to make all these calls. But honestly, your clients will appreciate you so much for taking 2 minutes out of your day. For instance, and it could be something really simple. I think that some girls sometimes dread, maybe because they were drinking, maybe they would second guess their purchase, or maybe they didn't like it once they got home and things like that. But you being able to connect with them even after the party, just letting them know that you care, goes a long way. So important. Plus, it's little things. They could even, maybe they got home and realized, oh my gosh, I got like two pumps left of cleaner. Hey, can you tack that on? Or, hey, you know what? Thinking back to, 3 days ago, we had such a good time. I just really want to go ahead and host my own. And you would be shocked at that small little phone call that you make will lead into so much more. I remember being very brand new in the business, and someone had said, the fortune is in the follow-up. And it's so true. Absolutely. Because the money, the connection, and also the future parties and referrals are in that follow-up, because you took 2 minutes to connect with them. So I keep, obviously my calendars and things like that to follow up, like for seasons, for a lot of people who do annual parties and things like that, like we get those scheduled. But roughly, and girls, if you do anything, please hand out your app. Like, that is so important for you to hand out your app, because A, it's free. B, like, you look like a real big deal considering you have an app, Not everybody has an app, and they're like, what? Please hand out your app. And the best part about the app that I love is they can't lose you. Like, as long as they download it, like, they can't lose you. They have to literally delete you to get rid of it. And I mean, that's a great way to stay connected too. They can message you on there, book parties on there, and also just see what's new and up and coming. Plus, they're doing that contest right now with free products. So it's just, I mean, why would they not want to? I do that before my icebreaker game. Everybody downloads the app. I give them a ticket.
At the very beginning.
At the very beginning. Because I don't want to wait until they've had too many cocktails or however. And I want to make sure that I make time for it, because that's going to keep me connected with them, and they can also share the app easily. I show them how to share it and everything right in the beginning of my party. It's huge. It's really a big deal. So
now, beyond that initial phone call, what does your communication look like in a month with your clients? Are you doing emails? Is it primarily Facebook? And if it's Facebook, is it in a group?
I do Facebook, just messages, honestly. I have a group, but I'll be honest with you, it's pretty new since I got that tip from you actually with the VIP group, and I know that some girls have the VIP lounges and stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like I don't know what to update those with daily or weekly, so I'm like, I'm kind of like stuck on that. But at the same time, like, I also use Media Center. I love that. I had I had a assistant that did Constant Contact for years. And then I switched over to Media Center once that came available to us too. I just think that Pure Romance gives us so many tools to use that, I mean, they take a lot of the guesswork out of it. So even if you are a busy mom or you are a working mom or however, you can literally put the information into the COO, you're adding it into your Media Center, boom, it's done. And you don't have to think about it anymore. So,
now, do you do that or do you have your assistant do that?
My assistant does it.
Good.
Yep. Yep. She just pieces it together for me.
Now, how often are you placing orders? Do you place them weekly? Are you waiting for big sales? How are you managing your inventory?
I do probably like 2 to 3 times a month. I do an order.
Do you know how much inventory you carry?
Last time I checked, it's probably about 18,000. I want to say maybe. Yeah. But I also, so here's the thing with my van, I didn't really have like necessarily a inventory, like keeping track and like entering it in and taking it out and things like that.
Computerized system.
I don't. And I do use Quick Sale, but I don't really do it for the inventory part. And I'll be honest with you, because with the back orders or like things that come with free product and everything got really kind of overwhelming for me. I kind of know like what I need, the way my van is set up too, that's something that's probably just like for me, I know how many coochies I have in one row, which is 8. And I need 2 more in my back stock downstairs in my basement on a shelf. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel comfortable with. Yeah. And it's honestly just been over time that I've comfortable with my stock. I will tell you this, girls, if you're not carrying inventory, that's one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. You have to look at inventory as money in the bank. That's how it is. Your party sales are going to literally be 50% higher while carrying inventory versus not. And I mean, it's just a proven fact. I remember, and I'll tell you the reason why I even have a large inventory, or because I have one of the reasons why I have my mobile boutique now is because when I hosted that party, when I was the hostess and the party sales between the outside sales and the household sales were $1,350, the consultant had nothing for us to take home. Not one. Not a spicy dice, not a lip gloss at the time, not Bosom Buddy, not the cheapest thing in the catalog. And I was like, and she had been in business for 9 years at the time. And I was like, oh my goodness. Well, the thing of it is that I had people at the party that were spending $187 and they came to me as the hostess like, oh my gosh, I just spent $187. Now I got to wait 3 weeks. Are you kidding me? And then I'd have the next girl who came out of the ordering room. Oh my gosh, I just spent, $79. Now I got to wait 3 weeks. And I could hear that in my head as a hostess. And I was like, oh my goodness. So when I went and I decided to sign up, all I could think about was, how am I going to do my business differently? So that way I don't ever have to put that worry on a hostess. And even if I can't give them everything at once, because obviously I started with a kit just like everybody else did. What I did was I would, every time that I would place an order, I would put like 10% back into the business, or depending on what the sale was, which wasn't very often that we had daily sales back then, would I add like 1 for the demo table, 1 for the inventory. 1 for the demo table, 1 for the inventory, and then I would pay myself too. So that's kind of how I did it.
So that's actually a question that came up when you were new in particular. How did you decide how much to pay yourself versus how much to reinvest?
So when I started, I would do, like I mentioned, depending on if there was a sale, there was no $19 shipping days like back then. Never. We're spoiled with those. Thank God for that. But back in the day, it would be like maybe 5% at the most off of our order or however. And all I would really do is just, and let me say this too, girls. So for all of you that have like started at deluxe kit or premium kit with 45%, I signed up with a deluxe kit and I earned 35%. And I had to become a director before I hit 50%. So, and at the time that was like 6 and 2. So, I mean, like I really had to recruit my butt off to get a better buying discount.
Yeah.
So please believe how blessed you girls are. Thankfully so, but I always say that too. Like if I could do this at 35, if I could become successful at 35%, believe me, you girls can do it at 45. That's like automatically walking into a raise. But I forgot what you asked me now. With the inventory,
Yeah.
what would I would invest? So basically at the time, I was only comfortable personally with the liquid line at first. So that's what I kind of stocked up on. And what I did first right off the bat was I wanted to offer them one extra of, like, for instance, I was showing them Body Dew. I did like the original, and then I did a sweet one. So when I go to a party, I would say, would you like soft or sweet? So women like choices, and that's kind of what I went with. But I just literally added to inventory what was in my kit. And then I kind of added on with like the different varieties and things like that. But thankfully enough, now we have that inventory advantage program, and thank God for that too, because the girls get a jump start right from the start, you know, with that option as well. So it's just amazing how over time corporates change things to make it so much easier, and they get a leg up, you know, and then it kind of sets them the path for them a whole lot easier, you know.
For sure. So in choosing inventory and obviously paying yourself, which do you do first? Do you pay yourself first, or do you buy inventory first?
So I used to do the inventory first, and now I pay myself first. But that was something that had to be learned too, because at first I was like, where's the money going? Like,
yeah,
where I'm not seeing it. But I was also, because I wasn't ever taught to buy smart, I was paying a lot of shipping fees. But if you buy like in the 6-packs, or you buy on like the $19 shipping days and things like that, or if you buy, you know, when I first started, I was never taught to do like a Friday, Saturday party back to back and place one order. I was doing a party on Friday and placing my order, and then I would do a Saturday party and place my order. So, you know, over time you learn how, and I feel like we only go through those, you know, challenging times just to teach somebody else, you know, in the future. Anything that we ever go through that is discouraging, please, girls, believe that there is like a higher purpose for it, and it's only so that way you can teach the next girl that she don't have to go through that because you went through it. So for sure.
Yeah, I like to say that I've made every mistake in the book, and some of them I've made twice.
Right. Yes. I can remember
the uptake.
Yeah, I can remember like placing an order being $12 away from the free product mark, and being like, oh my gosh, I just missed out on $50 worth of free stuff, you know. That's another thing too with the inventory, for instance, like with paying yourself first, or do you do the inventory reinvesting. The thing that I pay strict attention to is like what my retail sales are, and then going, you know, before we used to have to flip back to a whole different screen to figure out what we were at for the month, and then what your total is, you know, for this order. And I would pay close attention to how close I was at that for the free product marked, because when I realized that I could easily have corporate just pay for the inventory by paying attention to small details to that. I mean, there is a strategy behind everything. So, you know, once you figure out the strategy, especially as a leader, you obviously want to teach your team that, and then they're so much more, you know, successful quicker. So
now, as far as your parties go, what would you say? I mean, I'm guessing just based on the fact that you do have such limited time that your hostess coaching is pretty streamlined at this point. So what would you say is the key to success for your hostess coaching?
So, I will tell you this, and which I know that on the comments, it asked like about my calendar, hostess coaching, and how I do all of that. One thing I love, and I don't know if you girls have seen it or not, is that awesome planner that was created by Ashley Livermore.
No, I don't
Have you
think they
seen
have
that?
seen it.
Okay. What's really cool about it is, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Like, it'll say on here, like, obviously her party date, her parties, and all this stuff. Can you girls see this? I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, it'll say on there, like, booking bonus offered, booked from whose party, her party ID. Like, I love things like this because it's easy. So, the office, coming from the office, says gave/sent hostess packet. You can just check these simple things off and you already know it's done, versus trying to create some system or trying to, like, figure, oh yeah, did I do this? Did I not? I can't remember. I forgot to mark it off. You can easily, like, check these things off. It says entered into the COO, red stamp for the invite, Facebook even invite, sent thank you card, closed party. For the photo hostess coaching, which I love. And she also, like, if you purchase the planner, what's cool about this too, she has all these little photos that you can save, and then you send these to your hostess, and it already tells them about, like, a closed parking spot, or bring friends, or you're going to get a gift, or no men, no babies, things like that. Like, all these little things, or like, let's do a theme, and all of that. Like, you can just check these off right down the list. There's also one that said, it says, like, circle when completed, when you contact her to confirm the date, text her sending that you're going to send her tips, which are also those little photos. I mean, it's just like something really simple. Thankfully, she put that together. And she even, what I really like about it too, is she set it up so that way you fill in the date. You fill in the day of whenever you start the calendar, not from, like, January 1st, 2016. You could buy it now and just fill in the dates yourself. And she also puts a double time slot for Saturdays. So if you like to do, like, a double header being like 2:00 and 6:30 or whatever your case is, then you can do that too. And I really like that because it helps you stay organized. But for me, it works good because I can just check things off and I know, boom, 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 it was done. Or I'm looking at my calendar, I know what I need to do next.
Got it.
That's what keeps it easy for me. So
When we are done with this, do you mind taking a couple of pictures of
sure.
the contents of that and posting them so people, visual learners, can see them?
Yeah.
And, is there a link to purchase that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. She's got, like, a Weebly. I'll send it to you.
Perfect.
Or I'll post it on there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And it's not really expensive. It's nothing.
I buy my planner, and I have such a hard time finding the planner that's okay, because they never make the same bloody planner twice in a row. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yep.
And I need to have space.
Yeah, it's great. And literally, like, it's just a no-brainer. It's done. And it's huge too. Like, there's plenty of ways to, like, write everything in there. So yeah, you'll love it. And I love that a consultant made it, because, and she's very, like, OCD. So she is a square and a half. Yes. So, and I'm really not. So, like, seeing that through her eyes, I'm like, oh my God, I love you. Thank you for this, because it's a godsend to me too, because it helps me stay organized when in my not so organized, busy life. So.
Got it. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at my questions. Amy asked, what would you say is the biggest key to balancing this business and your full-time job?
You really have to you have to be realistic on how many parties you want to have, what your goals are, and blocking out time for everything. And I will tell you too, like, it is so important for you to, have the family time marked off and have date night. Like, that is so huge. You can't go neglecting your own relationship due to running a business, although this business provides so much for so many, like, it's so important to just, like, cut things off, take a time out, and go from there.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I just work my pure romance business around my Ford Motor Company, job. When I started, and the thing of it is too, like, so I said, be realistic with the goals and things like that, how many parties you want to do, how much income you want to bring in and things like that. But I'll be honest with you, like, when I got started, I needed to make $464 regardless. That was the goal. Like, I had to make $464. And because that was the car payment, and I was like, this is it. But the thing of it is like, I was working, like, and I hate to say no excuses, but seriously, like, if you want this to work, like, you got to be willing to dive in and do it and put in the work, lay the groundwork to reap the rewards, and it will pay you an unbelievable amount. When I started, I was working a swing shift on weekends. So I would work Friday and Saturday days and Sunday, Monday night. Like, sleep wasn't even in my vocabulary. It was like the worst. But I was off with the kids on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday all day. That was like my weekend. It was a rough shift, but it was due to seniority at the time. And it was kind of one of those things where I had to do it. But then I started this business, which a lot of people book parties on the weekend.
Yeah.
So I was pulling, literally, I would be up at 4:15. I was out the door at 5:15 on the assembly line at 6. And literally, I'm not kidding you, I was at a party later on that night. I remember washing from here down and my face, changing in my car. My Explorer was loaded up, and I was on my way to a party. And I wouldn't get home until about 11 o'clock at night just to do it all over again on Saturday. So you have to commit to the process, like, especially, like, be realistic, but also know what you're getting into. And I mean, when they say that you can be a six-figure income earner, you can be. There is no chosen one. That's the best part. There's no chosen one to be a six-figure income earner. Because if you would have told me almost 7 years ago that I'm going to make six figures at doing this, I'd be like, yeah, right. And like where, when, and that's what I do now, so, but it's because I really committed to it. Did I want to be up almost 20 hours when I was originally starting my business? No. But do I look back and say, wow, like, I can't believe it. And, right now, for instance, with all the auto companies, they're worried about strikes and contracts, and I don't even know what's going on with that because I can't be bothered. Like, thankfully enough, you know what I mean? Because my plan B turned out to be my plan A, and if they strike for a couple days or I get laid off, I might just need the break. You know what I mean? So it's like, but it's one of those things where, because I worked so hard in the beginning and I was like, this is what I'm going to dedicate myself to. I don't ever want my child to look up to me and say, Mama, what if I want to, I want to go to this college one day, and me look at them and say, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
I never want that day. So
now, when your new girls, your own team, come to you and say, I can't book a party, what do you say?
I tell them to pull out their phone and write down a list of every single girl in their contact list from A to Z that's over 18. And they have to write it down on a lined piece of paper, and they have to call every one of them and let them, I know that a lot of people look at the phone like the devil, and I'm not sure why. But the thing of it is that nobody can read your excitement like they can hear it in your voice. And I know that people probably think that they hear that 101 times, but I'm telling you, like, it's the absolute truth. The easier you get, the easier that you are about getting on the phone, like, more often, it just becomes easy. And I remember, like, just calling people, and let me tell you this, I started in November, the month before, 2 weeks before December 1st, which was like Christmas. And I was like, I remember people telling me, nope, we got this for Christmas. Nope, we got that for Christmas. Nope, we got this for Christmas. And I was like, oh my goodness, I spent all this money. This lady told me I was going to make all this money, and now I can't get a party book. And you know what? I called every single person in my phone at the time, which was like a flip phone, for God's sakes. And, I remember scrolling down through everybody and just saying, hey, you know what? I started this awesome business. I'm super excited, and all I need you to do is get 5 girls together for girls' night, and I'm going to spoil you. And I just want to show you these products. And here's the best part too. So for instance, especially for you girls who are brand new, let me give you a piece of advice. If your friends, for instance, kind of cringe at first, or they're like, oh my gosh, no, my friends aren't into that. They're not into toys. They're not into this and that. And however, you can totally be okay with that and be like, oh, that's perfect. No problem. Let's just turn it into a spa party and we'll go from there. There's always, have you seen the length of our liquid line, for God's sakes?
Right.
Like, you could totally just nip the toys out of it and do a spa party. And honestly, there's no excuse why somebody wouldn't want to do a party where it's just for pampering. The girls who are interested in the toys, they will find those themselves, and they will let you know that they want to take one home. So it's like, you can do a spa party easily. But I tell all of my girls, get on the phone. And they have to, we just had this discussion on my team page the other day. And they said, well, I've been really consistently working my business. And I'm like, okay, what have you done? And they've been on Facebook, right? Remember, when I started, there was no Facebook.
Right.
So I had to get on the phone. And the thing of it is that when girls tend to think that they're working their business, it could have been from a 3-second post that they put on maybe 5 times this week, which they consider, working their business. But the thing of it is like, could you imagine going into your part-time job and applying yourself for 3 minutes a day and being like, well, where's my pay for the week? Where's the work supposed to be? Where am I going to make $200 or whatever? And people look at you like you're crazy. You do have to obviously apply yourself to the phone, call them and just say, hey, you know what? I need you to help me out. And the thing of it is that even 5 girls at a party, once you get the party booked, then you can say, hey, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to have you girls, everybody needs to bring a friend. That way it'll change the dynamic. It'll be so much more fun. Everybody get to meet each other. And also you're going to get a gift, which obviously would be a sample pack.
Yep.
And then you've got 10 people at a party. And the best part is they don't even know each other. So, they're going to get to meet each other as well, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a party of 25 to host a party. And I think that some girls, the hostess thinks they got to have at least 25 or they can't book a party.
Yeah.
Or I think that girls, that are new sometimes worry about, oh my gosh, I don't know if any of my friends know 25 people. Let's start with 5. And those 5 are going to all bring somebody, and we've got 10, and we'll build from there is kind of what I tell my girls.
Got it. We had a question from Diane asking, how do you get your hostesses to actually pick up the phone as opposed to only wanting to communicate electronically?
So I don't tell them what I'm calling for at all. I just kind of, I'll say, hey, Heather, this is Nikki with Pure Romance. I got some exciting news about your party. Why don't you give me a quick call back? And then leave my number, and that's it. When you say I've got some exciting news, like they're kind of intrigued, like, it's got something to do with my party and I wonder what it is. So I usually have a pretty good luck with getting them to call me back.
I also find that just telling them when they book the party, there's going to be 2 or 3 moments where I'm going to call you and we just have to have a quick 90-second phone call, but it's really important that it's actually a phone call.
Yeah,
because
totally.
I can't communicate effectively with you via text, and just setting the precedent for it ahead of time.
It's almost like getting the green light. because you told them you're going to be calling. And
Right.
I do the same thing with that when with team building too, is I let them know when they're taking home, the opportunity brochure and a kit comparison sheet. I'm letting them know, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a quick call in about 3 or 4 days. Why don't we go, does Thursday work for you? And they say yes or however. Then the next thing is, like, they already told me that I can call them because I told her that I'm going to call. So
Right.
that also help me stay accountable too.
Yes.
So I like that green light.
Let's see. I think we've got, just really fast, can you tell the girls how long you were in business when you decided that it was a good idea to get your mobile boutique and why you decided that?
So I was 1 year in the business when I purchased my first van. And I was really inspired by Heather Dolan's trailer originally. And but she lives in South Carolina and I live in Michigan, and a trailer is not a good option for me because there's a lot of one-way streets, the snow, it's just not good with the ice and everything.
Yeah.
So when I originally seen her van or her motorcycle trailer, I was like, oh, absolutely, I love that. Plus, with me working on the assembly line, I have a bad sciatic nerve. So my back is bad anyway. So carrying and lugging the bins, which of course I wanted to carry lots of inventory, it was just a better choice for me. And what ended up happening, I actually went to a trailer place. They told me it was going to take 3 to 4 weeks for them to get the specific one that I wanted in. And so I said, well, I'm going to take a week to think about it. And then within that week, my mom ended up seeing an older style Dodge Ram van on the side of the road out by her house that was for sale. It was $5,000. I paid cash for it. And then and it was an old municipal vehicle. So it was one of those where an electrician used to use it.
Got it.
And I thought to myself, this is going to be me crawling before I walk. And we're going to take the steps and see if this even works.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I mean, I was 1 year in the business though, and I knew I wanted to be different. I wanted to be memorable. I wanted to have something that nobody else had. I wanted to be like the icing on the cake, and that's where my van came in. And then, I knew at the time when it was time to upgrade, I was ready, I was comfortable, and my God, I need the business expense now. So yes, I write this off on my taxes, every single bit of it. And I love that. And I will tell you this too. A lot of people say to me all the time, they're like, Nikki, why do you still work? And, all of those things too. One of the reasons why I work still as well is it helps kind of balance out the taxes a little bit too, because I pay so much in through my Ford job that it helps me balance out owing so much too, type of thing.
Got it.
So, plus I have all these business expenses, which comes with owning a business, which is a plus too. So.
Okay, girls, I have gone through all of the questions that you submitted, and I don't want to keep Nikki too much longer, but if there's anything that's come up over the course of the conversation, anything that is just like eating away at you, you just have to know, you can use the chat feature down at the bottom of your screen and fire that over, or you can chat me on Facebook, and I will make sure that I see that as well.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for taking the time. I mean, I know how busy you are.
Yeah, that's okay. Anytime.
Okay, so Ryan is asking, Ryan asked, you typically have to pay taxes. Hold on, where did it go? As far as Pure is concerned. Yes. I'm going to answer that really fast, and then I'll actually send you the link to a different webinar, Ryan, because it is a very detailed question. Yes, you're making income, and so yes, you have to pay income taxes on your business. And it's a really simple thing to do, especially as a sole proprietor like you are. So again, I'll send you the link to it that our CPA did for us back in February, and it should be able to help everything. Heather, can we get the after party checklist? Yes, I am sure that Nikki would be more than happy to share her list both before the party and after the party. Okay, so Kat has a great question. How do you overcome objections about your business from family, friends, and strangers?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing, because please believe, I used to get teased like you would not believe it, especially me working in a plant. The workforce is 80% men, and I used to get teased like every time I tried to bring up pure romance or wore pink or anything like that. But I truly believe in what we do, and I don't allow anybody to downgrade what I do. I always know like when somebody's gonna come up to me, especially about the business at my work, because I've never seen them before, but they come like looking for me and they want to ask me a question. And usually it's like, it'll be like, oh, well, I heard that you sell those adult, those adult things, like the guys, they get the nerve to start to talk to me about it, and then they're not sure what they want to say, so they almost look like an idiot anyway. But they say, well, those adult toys, and I heard that you do those parties, and I said, well, actually, I do in-home parties for women, and we do actually have bedroom accessories. Yes, we do. And sometimes I forget about that because I get so wrapped up in the educating and empowering women about their sexual health. That's really what I do. And they're just like, wow, like they're really taking it back at that, like when I fire away to them of what I really do. And that's really going to come in time for you. That will come in time. The more times that you say it, and that's what you do. You educate women about their sexual health. You keep women that are single safe. And that's literally physically, mentally, emotionally, like safe. And you also keep, families together, which is a huge thing. My parents, I was afraid that my dad would just not even accept anything like this. But now, he is one of my biggest supporters. It's changed my parents' lives as far as their relationship. And I was even able to give them their first honeymoon after 40 years of marriage. I was able to pay for them to go to my wedding, and it was literally because of pure romance. I would not have the memories that I have of my wedding day if it wasn't for pure romance. So it's one of those things where it's gonna take a little bit of time, and the more times, it's just like asking for the party. It's just like asking or offering somebody to join your team, or if they're interested in doing a job like yours, because the more times that you say it and you do it, the easier and easier it's going to become. So just believe in what you do. It's a bigger purpose than what and it's going to unfold right in front of your face as the more that you do it.
Agreed. I always compare it to someone who is a phlebotomist or a nurse that has to draw blood. Like, you're terrified the first couple of times. You've got a live person, you got a stick.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it gets easier and easier and easier as you do it, and you learn to deal with the people who are fidgety and those who have bad veins and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to do it if you hadn't started somewhere. You have to start with someone, right?
Exactly.
So I think that people keep waiting for it to get easier without putting any effort into it. And it really is one of those things that you can talk about it theoretically till you're blue in the face, but it's actually putting it into practice that is going to make it work.
Yeah. And just like those the new babies too, like the new team members that get nervous and they're like, oh, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. Because guess what? If you weren't nervous, I would be nervous about you joining, Right. Because honestly, I was nervous too. And it doesn't matter if you were selling pure romance or if you were selling children's books door to door, you would be nervous. Yeah. It doesn't even matter if somebody said to you tomorrow, you know what, tomorrow at 2:00, you're going to start behind the cash register at McDonald's. I mean, you know the menu, but you've never pushed the buttons or taken somebody's order to do it. So it's one of those things that you're nervous, and that's normal. So, once you get that first party out of the way, everything's easier from there. And you just roll with it, and you learn as you go, like with any job.
Nikki, when you are out and about, say that I know your daughter is a huge fan of American Girl and your son is very into football. When you're just out and about doing your normal stuff, how are you introducing the subject of your business with strangers?
Well, I love pink regardless. So of course that helps. And I bring it up all the time, even with just like going to Target, like, oh my gosh, this pink is going to be perfect for my parties. And that could be something that's like rolling down the belt at the cash register, or someone at Macy's, where I'm like, they always want to help you. So they like approach you, and then you could easily say like, I really like these, and I think these are going to be perfect for my party. And I'm just so excited. And they're like, well, what kind of party? They want to know, they like fall right into it every single time. Like, what kind of party? They want to know if it's a birthday party, if it's an anniversary party. And then you're like, well, no, actually I do pure romance parties, and I'm a business owner with Pure Romance. And so that's when you kind of go into it. And then you don't necessarily like have to hand her the business card like immediately, but before you leave after browsing, or if you actually purchase something, that's when you hand her your business card. The goodie bags that, we see on the Destination Success page, and of course it's a perfect season anyway with it being Halloween. Yep. These goodie bags, everybody loves a gift. Everybody. So these sample packs and things like getting people to know that you're in business by stumbling across a goodie bag that's already in your purse when you go to pay, you might as well give it to them. And I kind of act that way as well. Even at the cash register, I'm like, oh, you know what? I made a few extra ones of these for, breast cancer awareness month and everything. Here, you might as well have this. And they're like, oh, okay. And it's not pushy. It's not directed, or it's not abrasive. It's just, you're giving them something. So
good.
Yeah. So
awesome. All right, girls, we can take one more question if anybody else has one more. Thank you so much, Nikki. This has been helpful even for me. So I really appreciate you taking the time from your completely insane schedule and taking time away from your family to help us. And I'm sure over the course of the next couple of days, while you're still with us in the group, there will be people who ask additional questions.
Yes. And can I give you one great piece of advice too, like that I totally believe in? And I will mention that I already planned on giving this piece of advice earlier today. I taped it at work, but it was like so noisy that I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way I could send this to Heather, because all you could hear was like the line and me talking a little bit. But then I seen on my way home about your comment about like the meetings and things like that. So I believe that one of the biggest mistakes that any consultant could make is not attending team meetings, corporate events, conference calls like this, and other people's shadow opportunities, things like that. So let's say, for instance, if you have a party cancellation, for instance, and you planned on going to a party, please jump on your team page and just say, hey, who else has a party? Let me go shadow and utilize that time that you're originally going to be working and still work your business by going to shadow somebody else. Also with like the corporate events and things like that. I know that there may be some that, maybe you got to drive an hour and a half, or maybe it costs $25 to attend, or maybe it's, World's Conference and there's a fee. Let me please tell you that one of the biggest mistakes that consultants make is not attending. And I remember when I first started in the business, it was going to be on a Sunday, and I was supposed to be scheduled to work. And my mom said to me, are you kidding me? I can't believe you're calling off work and not going in for this for this meeting that you're going to have with this new company that you're with, and you're not making any money with them yet, and so on. And I remember thinking, Mom, something's telling me to go, because if it wasn't important for me to go, this company and corporation wouldn't take the time to drive to my state to be there. And I remember saying that to my mom, and she just thought it was so crazy. And let me tell you this, my mom now never, if there is anything pure romance involved, she knows that she never asked me if it's going to be beneficial for me to go. And it could even be something that you go to the team meeting and you're like, wow, I've heard that before, or book this party this way, or do this follow-up call this way. And you're like, I've heard that before. And then like 5 minutes before you guys break, it's the simplest booking idea or the simplest little bit. It's a little nugget that you're like, you have that aha moment, and you go home and you apply it to your business. And that could be the total turning point in your business. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly why I attended. That was what I came for. And that will change your business. I remember I had to drive an hour and a half to any meeting around me because there was no team meetings. And at the time, because that car payment, if that was $464, which thank God that's paid off now. But I remember thinking, I got 6 other seat belts. And as soon as I started having team members, I carpooled everybody there, because chances are if you carpool your team members there and get a group of girls. Why? Because you guys can talk all the way there. And when you absorb all the information, you get to talk all the way home and share it, and you're on fire. And it's so, so important. So if there's anything that I could give you for a Tip Tuesday, that would be it. Make sure you attend to everything, and it will pay you out tenfold. I promise, every time.
I mean, I've seen it for almost 10 years. The girls who show up to stuff are the ones who consistently run bigger businesses. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've heard the same booking spiel 30 times, but it doesn't mean that I don't fall off the wagon and end up forgetting that one little line or the one thing that makes a difference in closing the deal with a recruit. I mean, you just have to be reminded of stuff, because we do get very stagnant, and it does become routine and stale the longer you're in if you don't keep things fresh. Yeah. So I love a national event. I love a local event. I mean, I'll be very honest with you. I have the occasional party to give away because of my schedule or illness or whatever. And I'm not going to give my clients to someone that I've never laid eyes on before, that I don't know runs a good business. And I know I'm not alone in that respect. People want to have relationships. We're in the business of relationships. And if you don't create relationships with your sisters, then they are going to be hard pressed to make that product trade with you, or give you that party, or want to carpool with you to something. You've got to create more than just a Facebook profile to do that. We're in a business of women and relationships with women. So it is so imperative that it becomes a priority. And, you know, I always cringe when people make excuses about going to meetings, which I clearly posted earlier. But my response inevitably is, if this was a party and not a meeting, would you have canceled? And if the answer is no, then why are you canceling on this? Because what you learn at this meeting will make you more money at your next parties than sitting at home on your butt will ever do.
Or if your significant other had a meeting to go to and you knew that he could potentially get a raise after attending, would you expect him to go?
Right.
Yes, absolutely. You know, and it's the same thing, because, like, for instance, and it happens to all of us, but, you know, and I tell my girls, like, if there's a chance that you say, yes, you're coming, and then you got out of work early, and then you're like, oh, I'm just going to run home for a minute and do this or do that, chances are you're either going to be late, you're going to forget about it, you get caught up doing something else, all of a sudden somebody else is sick at home. Don't go home. Don't go home. Just go to wherever the meeting is. You can work in your car or hand things out or whatever the case is, but that's the thing, like, and it happens, of course, but Life happens sometimes, but the no excuses is what's going to get you the bigger bank account at the end of the day.
Somebody actually said to me while I was on tour last week, men don't ever come home and say, is it okay with you if I attend this? Is it okay if I go to this business meeting? Never. My husband has never asked me, is it okay if I go to this meeting? This is my job. I'm going to the meeting. Let's figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why we as women feel like we're second-class citizens and our business is not providing. Because if you paid for shoes for your child, if you paid for dance lessons, if you bought groceries with the money that you made with this business, it counts. It
Yeah,
just comes
totally.
out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yep. And people ask me that often, like girls who are kind of interested in the business, they'll say to me, Nikki, does your husband ever get upset because you worked on a Friday or a Saturday or however? And I let them know, obviously, I can rearrange my schedule whenever we need to and things like that. But ultimately, no, he never questions when I have a party. And the reason for that is because anytime that mama leaves the driveway, she gets paid, period. Every time I go to a party, I get paid.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter even if it's low party sales, I could very easily meet somebody at that party who wants to join the business. And that's the reason why I'm there that night. So the longevity of the money is going to be coming in, or the future, maybe it's lower party sales, but I book 3 parties. I mean, that means the money's coming. So don't look at it as a loss, because this business doesn't just end the day of. It's so much more. It's always coming. As long as you're in motion, the money is coming in. It's just how it is. So,
Agreed.
And that's the best part of it too. Like, there's no, it's like a glass elevator, and only you are in control of which floor you step off. And that's the best part. There's endless amount of money. Like, I'm excited to get 2016 started so we can just do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the best part, and every year you get better, you get wiser. You're going to teach somebody else something that you didn't expect to already know. And you're constantly learning. So, and in the meantime, your children or your siblings, your parents, your anything, they sit back and see you as this amazing business owner, and you're developing into something that, they never expected out of you either, which is pretty empowering in itself. My daughter last week said she's got a fundraiser, and she said, Mama, Graham told me that when you were a little girl, you got to win all the prizes. And now you get to win the prizes too. And I was like, oh my God, not another fundraiser, is what I was thinking. But bless her heart, she sees me run my business and win prizes and win things for our family. And at the end of the day, I'm already instilling that in her. And you work hard, you do well. Like, you work hard, you stay consistent, you earn. And that's what it is. So
agreed. On that note, we will let you get back to your life. Thank you again so much. And
thank you.
We will keep firing stuff at you on the group for the next couple of days while we still have it. Thank you so much.
Perfect. You're welcome. Bye, girls.
Thanks for joining in, girls.
Okay.